Across the United States, hundreds of counties are facing the same problem. More people are dying than being born. Young people grow up, move to bigger cities, and often never come back. Schools lose students and merge with nearby towns. Hospitals cut services. Grocery stores shut down. And once basic services start disappearing, it becomes even harder to convince new families to move in. So some places are now paying people to move there through cash grants, free land, down payment assistance, student loan support, temporary state income tax breaks, and in one real case, even 5 pounds of locally raised bison. But why is this happening now? The biggest reason is remote work, because for the first time in American history, a household can keep a salary from a high-paying city while living in a much cheaper town. Someone can work for a company in San Francisco, Seattle, or New York, and spend that income in a place where a 3-bedroom house may cost a fraction of what it would in a major coastal city. States noticed this and started competing with each other to attract those workers and families. This countdown goes from number 8 to number 1, based on how far each state is willing to go. At number 8 is Georgia, specifically the city of Columbus, which is currently trying to attract remote workers with a relocation package built around both cash and local benefits. The main offer is $5,000 in cash for people who qualify and move to Columbus. On top of that, newcomers receive benefits such as parking space, local memberships, community events, and even opportunities to meet local leaders. Altogether, the package is currently valued at around $8,700. To qualify, applicants need to have a full-time remote job that they can keep after moving, earn at least $75,000 a year from a single income source, and currently live at least 75 miles outside Columbus. Those who are selected have to move their main residence into Muskogee County within 3 months. Columbus includes coworking space, meetups with other newcomers, memberships, and community activities because getting someone to move is only the first step. Columbus offers a lower cost of living than many large American cities, but enough restaurants, entertainment, outdoor activities, and services that someone does not feel completely isolated. $5,000 is useful, but compared with what is coming later in this countdown, Georgia is still being relatively careful with its money. Number 7 increases the cash slightly and adds so many local benefits that the total package gets close to $10,000. At number 7, we have Wisconsin. Wisconsin, specifically Fond du Lac County, is where qualifying remote workers can currently receive a $5,500 cash relocation stipend for moving there. Once all of the additional benefits are included, the advertised package is worth around $9,500. The extra benefits include recreation and fitness memberships, local entertainment, dining experiences, community events, professional connections, and even agricultural experiences connected to the region. The program is sponsored by the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation in partnership with Envision Greater Fond du Lac. Applicants need to be at least 18 years old, currently live outside Wisconsin, and have a household income of at least $55,000. Remote employees can qualify if they keep their existing job after moving, and self-employed people can also qualify if they are able to keep operating their business from Wisconsin. Selected applicants have to move their main residence to Fond du Lac County within 6 months. Fond du Lac offers lower housing costs and a smaller community lifestyle, while still giving remote workers the internet access and basic services they need to keep earning a salary from somewhere else. Though only $5,500 of the package is direct cash. The rest comes through memberships, experiences, services, and other local benefits. Those benefits have value, but someone cannot use a golf membership to pay a moving company or make a house payment. Number 6 is much simpler. Instead of building a package around dozens of benefits, it puts $10,000 directly on the table. At number 6 is Oklahoma. Oklahoma is where the modern idea of paying remote workers to relocate really became famous. Tulsa Remote launched in 2018 with a simple offer. Move to Tulsa while keeping your remote job, stay for at least 1 year, and receive up to $10,000. The program is still operating, and its current terms continue to offer qualifying participants a total incentive of up to $10,000. The reason Tulsa is willing to spend that money is fairly easy to understand. Imagine someone earns a salary from a company in Seattle, New York, or Los Angeles but lives in Tulsa. That salary is being generated somewhere else, but a large part of it is being spent in Oklahoma. The worker rents or buys a home, shops locally, eats at restaurants, uses local services, and pays taxes without Tulsa having to create the job that produces the salary. The program also learned early that money alone is not enough. Tulsa Remote includes community events, professional connections, and support designed to help newcomers build relationships after they arrive. That matters because convincing somebody to move is easier than convincing them to stay for 5 or 10 years. For people who buy a home in Tulsa, the program also has a homeownership option that can allow the $10,000 incentive to be paid as a lump sum, provided the buyer meets the program requirements and keeps the property as a primary residence for the required period. Tulsa itself offers a relatively low cost of living for a city of its size, along with a strong arts and restaurant scene. The trade-offs include very hot summers, severe weather, and the possibility that Oklahoma's political and cultural environment may feel very different from the place a newcomer is leaving. $10,000 was once enough to make Tulsa's program sound almost unbelievable. But it is only number 6 now because several places have gone much further. At number 5 is West Virginia. The Ascend West Virginia program offers qualifying remote workers $12,000 to move to the state. The money is paid over a 2-year period, although participants who buy a home during the program can have their remaining payments accelerated into a lump sum after the home purchase is verified. The program also provides free parking space, outdoor recreation benefits, and organized community events, bringing the overall value of the package above $20,000. Applicants generally need to already have full-time employment that can be performed remotely or own a business that can be managed remotely, and they must currently live outside West Virginia. To receive the full $12,000, participants need to remain in the state for at least 2 consecutive years. Ascend West Virginia was designed around the idea that people are more likely to remain somewhere if they actually develop friendships, routines, and a connection to the place. That is why the program combines money with parking spaces, social events, and access to activities such as hiking, kayaking, and mountain biking. West Virginia has a strong reason to try something this aggressive. Many communities have spent decades losing residents as the coal industry became less important as a source of employment, leaving smaller towns with fewer workers, fewer customers for local businesses, and an aging population. For someone who already has a remote salary, however, the equation can look very different. Housing can be much cheaper than in many major American cities, while the state offers mountain scenery, outdoor recreation, and communities where a newcomer can have a much larger local impact. $12,000 is a serious relocation offer, but number 4 moves into the $15,000 range. At number 4 is Kansas. In Kansas, several communities are actively competing for new residents. One of the best-known examples is Choose Topeka. The Greater Topeka Partnership currently advertises that eligible newcomers can receive up to $15,000 through its relocation incentive programs, although the exact amount and requirements depend on the type of applicant and participating employer. This is not a situation where anyone can arrive in Topeka and collect $15,000. The program is designed around specific workers and employers, and applicants have to meet the requirements before permanently relocating. Kansas also has several other communities running their own relocation offers. Current listings include programs in places such as Hutchinson, Salina, Ottawa, and Lincoln County, with a mixture of cash payments, local benefits, and other incentives. The reason Kansas has become such an interesting state for these programs is that many rural communities have spent years watching residents move toward larger cities and suburbs. A new household with a steady income can make a noticeable difference in a small town, because that family is not only buying a house. It is also supporting local stores, schools, contractors, restaurants, and services. Housing costs are another major advantage. A relocation payment of $10,000 or $15,000 does not change much when someone is looking at an extremely expensive home in Los Angeles or San Francisco. But the same amount can have a much larger effect in a smaller Kansas community where housing costs are considerably lower. The trade-off is that some of these places are genuinely rural. Hospitals, airports, and major shopping areas can be far away, and severe spring weather is part of life in the region. Still, Kansas has moved beyond simply asking people to consider small-town life. Number 3 offers a similar value, but it packages the money very differently. At number 3 is Indiana. In Indiana, several communities have turned relocation into something close to a competition for remote workers. One of the strongest current examples is Noblesville, which advertises a relocation package with a total value of around $15,000. The package includes $5,000 in direct relocation cash, along with benefits such as a health and wellness stipend, parking space, local dining and entertainment experiences, recreation passes, and community memberships. $15,000 in total value does not mean someone receives a $15,000 check. Only part of it is direct cash, while the rest comes through services and benefits designed to connect the newcomer to the community. Indiana has several other communities using the same idea. Current relocation listings include places such as Richmond, Bloomington, Knox County, and the Indianapolis region, with different packages aimed at remote workers and people willing to take local jobs. The strategy reflects something many relocation programs have learned over the past few years. Indiana's broader advantage is affordability. Housing and everyday expenses remain relatively manageable in many communities, and the state sits close to several major Midwestern cities, which means residents can live in a smaller place without necessarily being completely disconnected from larger economic centers. But from this point forward, the countdown changes dramatically. We are leaving $10,000 and $15,000 relocation packages behind and moving into programs willing to put around $50,000 toward a new resident's home. At number 2 is Nebraska. But the story here is really about one very small community called Pawnee City. Pawnee City has fewer than 1,000 residents and has spent decades dealing with population decline. Instead of simply advertising the town and hoping families would come, local leaders focused on one of the biggest problems facing rural communities. Even when someone wants to move there may not be a suitable modern house available to buy. So the town's Vision 2030 effort took a different approach. It began developing new homes and offered qualifying buyers $50,000 in down payment assistance toward those properties. The new homes were planned at around $325,000, meaning the assistance could reduce the effective cost for a qualifying buyer by a very significant amount. The response showed how powerful that number was. After the program was announced in 2025, Pawnee City received 115 applications in only about 2 weeks, an extraordinary amount of interest for a town with fewer than 900 residents at the time. The program also demonstrates why housing incentives can be more powerful than ordinary relocation checks. $10,000 is useful when somebody is moving, but $50,000 attached to a house can completely change whether that family is able to buy the property in the first place. There are restrictions, of course. Income limits apply, and the assistance is connected to specific qualifying homes rather than being $50,000 that someone can simply spend however they want. Pawnee City is also still a very small rural town, which means the trade-off is real. People choosing this offer are accepting fewer shops, fewer entertainment options, longer drives for some services, and a very different lifestyle from a major city. But that is exactly why the town is willing to spend so much. For Pawnee City, attracting one family that buys a house, sends children to the local school, spends money at local businesses, and remains for decades can be worth far more than $50,000. And somehow, $50,000 is still not enough to take the number 1 position. And finally, at number 1 is Michigan. Specifically the city of Jackson, where the scale of the housing assistance can reach $55,000 for certain qualifying buyers. Jackson spent decades losing residents like many older industrial cities in the Midwest. As homes disappeared, the city was left with vacant lots inside existing neighborhoods. Those lots were valuable because the expensive infrastructure was already there. Streets, water lines, sewer connections, electricity, and other services had been installed years earlier. Instead of leaving that land empty, Jackson created its 100 Homes program to build new houses on city-owned residential lots and sell them to qualified owner-occupants. Current homes in the program are priced at $178,000. The standard city assistance is $25,000 toward the down payment. Buyers may also qualify for another $10,000 through the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. But the most aggressive version of the program goes even further. Through a partnership with the Martin Luther King Jr. Corridor Improvement Authority, a limited number of buyers choosing eligible lots can receive another $30,000, bringing the total city-supported assistance to as much as $55,000. On a home costing $178,000, $55,000 is close to 1/3 of the entire purchase price. The homes have to be owner-occupied, buyers must financially qualify, and the additional $30,000 assistance is limited to certain lots and a limited number of approved buyers while funding remains available. But the reason Jackson can justify spending this much becomes clearer when you look at the vacant lots. The city already owns the land, and much of the infrastructure was paid for decades ago. Jackson is not building completely new suburbs from scratch. It is trying to refill existing neighborhoods where houses once stood. That makes the $55,000 less like a gift and more like an investment. A homeowner who stays for 20 or 30 years can pay property taxes, shop locally, support nearby businesses, send children to local schools, and help stabilize a neighborhood where the city has already invested in roads and utilities. All right, so those are 8 places in America that are willing to pay you to move there. Of course, moving to another state is a big decision, but if you like the area and the lifestyle makes sense for you, then moving and getting paid for it would be a pretty good deal.